On a still May evening in 2025, a drone footage captured mysterious orbs, moments before a crop circle formed. This incident occurred in Wiltshire, an area renowned for its history of eerie phenomena. There were no discernible entry paths, no discarded tools, no human silhouettes in sight, only perfectly flattened barley radiating from a design whose symmetry seemed almost engineered beyond human precision. The Sutton Veny incident has drawn renewed attention to crop circles and UFO sighting incidents. But to make any sense of this, we need to get some context. Let's get started. Wiltshire's downland is one of the most densely storied prehistoric landscapes in Europe. The Stonehenge and Avebury complexes, together with surrounding barrows, Curses monuments, and Silbury Hill, form a UNESCO World Heritage Site that covers nearly 5,000 hectares and contains more than 700 individual archaeological features. Stonehenge is famed for its concentric rings of sarsens and bluestones and long-established astronomical alignments, while Avebury's vast Neolithic henge and the artificial chalk mound of Silbury Hill, built around 2470 to 2350 BCE and standing roughly 39 meters tall, anchor a ritual landscape visible for miles. These monuments, many under the care of English Heritage and the National Trust, make Wiltshire not only archaeologically exceptional but also culturally resonant. The same chalk ridges that supported Bronze Age processions now provide vantage and access that have influenced more modern cultural practices and tourism in the county. But there's more. Wiltshire is a focal point for crop circle activity since the phenomenon intensified in the late 20th century. Reports of geometric formations began accelerating in the 1970s and 80s, and by the 90s the cluster of pictograms around Avebury, Alton Barnes, Milk Hill, and the downland near Stonehenge became characteristic. The landscape's accessible fields, network of lanes, and a public already primed to see meaning in circular marks made Wiltshire a natural magnet. Researchers who have mapped distribution patterns show a striking non-random concentration of reported formations within a roughly 15-kilometer radius of Avebury, and commentators note the ready tourist infrastructure, such as local guides, helicopter and bus tours, and a small economy around visitors, that amplifies attention when a new pattern appears. The history of modern crop circles in Wiltshire begins in the late 1970s, when small, simple circular depressions started appearing in cereal fields across southern England. Early cases, such as those reported near Warminster and Westbury, drew limited attention outside local farming communities and were sometimes attributed to unusual weather patterns, animal activity, or the wind vortex theory championed by meteorologist Dr. Terence Meaden. These formations were typically modest. Single circles between 10 and 20 meters in diameter were often seen in wheat or barley. These crop circles lacked the complex geometry that would define later decades. By the early 1980s, Wiltshire's proximity to the prehistoric monuments of Stonehenge, Avebury, and Silbury Hill gave the phenomenon a stage unlike anywhere else. The region's open downland and scenic slopes, such as Milk Hill and Knapp Hill, became recurring backdrops for new formations. Media coverage grew rapidly after a spate of circles appeared in the Vale of Pewsey in 1989, coinciding with a surge in UFO-related tabloid stories. Television documentaries began pairing aerial footage of these shapes with witness reports of balls of light or flying discs, linking the phenomenon to extraterrestrial visitation. Through the 1990s, Wiltshire became the global epicenter of crop circle culture. Designs ballooned in scale and complexity, some exceeding 200 meters in length, others made up of hundreds of individual circles. The famous Milk Hill Galaxy formation of August 2001, composed of 409 circles in a swirling six-armed spiral, remains one of the largest ever recorded, visible from miles away and celebrated by both believers and skeptics as a feat of field artistry. This period also saw the emergence of annual crop circle seasons, with visitors from Europe, North America, and Japan arriving each summer to tour fresh formations, photograph them from microlights, and attend lectures in village halls. Media coverage and internet sharing amplified the phenomenon. Photographers like Lucy Pringle and Steve Alexander built archives that documented each season's patterns, while researchers such as Colin Andrews promoted theories linking formations to Earth energies, atmospheric plasma, or even encoded messages from non-human intelligences. These interpretations coexisted with a thriving subculture of competitive circle making, with teams sometimes operating under commission for commercial projects, including album covers and advertising campaigns. In the 2000s and 2010s, while the total number of formations in Wiltshire declined from its peak, the designs remained elaborate, often appearing near iconic sites like Silbury Hill, West Kennet Long Barrow, and Alton Barnes. Advances in GPS technology and laser alignment allowed makers to achieve even greater geometric precision. At the same time, a subset of researchers continued to pursue reports of unexplained lights or electromagnetic anomalies. Recently, a formation was recorded near Sutton Veny on the 15th of May, 2025. Temporary Temples, a long-running Wiltshire photographic archive and monitoring project, documented a large glyph in a field of young malting barley. The Sutton Veny diagram, described in their project entry as a Celtic knot inside a large containing ring on the gallops below Whiten Hill, was photographed from multiple angles and circulated through Temporary Temple's social feeds and other crop circle tracking sites within hours of the initial report. Placed against historical patterns, Sutton Veny fits several recurring Wiltshire templates. It appeared in barley, a common crop for pictograms. It lies within the broader Averborough-Stonehenge cultural landscape, and it was recorded and archived promptly by established local photographers and the Temporary Temples project, which has tracked seasons of circles back through the 1990s. More famous precedents reflect the scale and evolution of designs in this territory. The Milk Hill Formation of the 13th of August, 2001. Often described as a galaxy spiral or six-armed triskelion comprising 409 circles and measured in contemporary accounts at roughly 238 meters, remains a touchstone for the complex, large-scale pictograms that heighten public interest and academic curiosity in the early 2000s. But wait, there's more! Milk Hill in Wiltshire, England, has long been one of the most active and closely monitored sites for crop circle formations, and it was the scene of one of the most discussed orb-related incidents in the modern crop circle era. On the evening of the 26th of July, 1990, several witnesses reported seeing a spherical, self-luminous object moving above the slopes of Milk Hill, a chalk downland ridge located near Alton Barnes and standing at 295 meters above sea level. According to the accounts gathered by local investigators, the object appeared as a bright white orb, estimated at around 1 meter in diameter, silently traversing the sky at low altitude. One of the key pieces of evidence from this event was amateur video footage recorded by a local crop circle enthusiast using a consumer-grade VHS camcorder, which captured the orb's movement over fields that later, within hours, were found to contain a large and previously unrecorded crop circle formation. The footage, though grainy by today's standards, was preserved and circulated among researchers. Witnesses described the orb as moving with deliberate precision rather than drifting like a balloon or lantern, with occasional sudden changes in velocity and direction. Several people claim to have seen the orb descend briefly toward the crop surface before rising again and moving off toward the Vale of Pewsey. At least 3 separate vantage points were recorded in testimony, 2 from individuals stationed along the road near Alton Barnes and 1 from a farm track on the southern slope of Milk Hill, giving researchers some triangulation to estimate the orb's altitude and trajectory. Researchers from groups such as the Centre for Crop Circle Studies, or CCCS, which was active in the early 1990s, took statements, compared the timing with the formation's appearance, and archived both the video and written reports. Following the Milk Hill 1990 event, orb sightings associated with crop circles in Wiltshire became an enduring thread in the county's folklore and research narratives.